Hey guys, it's Spaces Sims, and we are back with more Virche Evermore, continuing Eve's route. We had a moment with Hugo in the last part, which was traumatizing. Because I thought he really hated us, and then he was like, alright, cool, anyway, bye. And it was like, now we're friends. Wait, what? Okay. But I still think Hugo was in love with Eve, and listen, can't convince me otherwise. Anyway. I could hear a familiar voice moving away from me. My eyelids were so heavy it felt like they were glued shut. Why was I asleep in bed? Can't remember a thing. Eve? I heard someone calling my name. I needed to say something. I needed to help fulfill the person's wish so that it would come true. Or else no one would love me because of my hideous face. See, I opened my eyes and the first thing that came into sight was a precious girl. That was not his voice. She looked so sad. I wondered what happened to her while I was asleep. I looked into her translucent, beautiful eyes. There was a red glimmer. That was the gruesome face of a horrible monster. My memories returned, and with them came despair. She saw my face. My hideous and disgusting face. Of all people, she was the one I least wanted to see it. Please leave. I don't want you to look at my ugly face anymore. I grabbed the bedsheets and ran to the corner of the room to hide under them. Oh, poor little labradoodle. I did the best I could, but I still couldn't stop shaking. That's all over. She was gonna leave me. She was gonna hate me. She was gonna tell me I was a monster. Oh, he's so sad. Told you I'd love you no matter what, but instead of giving you my love, I'm only thinking about the love I can get from you. Eve, my wish, everything. If she said that I disgusted her and rejected everything I said, she'll never love me. Yeah, too bad you weren't awake when I basically, sort of, kind of said it, but didn't really. Oh, look at his little sad, precious face. Without his mask, so if seeing his scars made you, don't look, okay? Aw, poor thing. I buried my face as much as I could, but Eve, she gently pulled the sheet away. Sorry. Before I knew it, she was not in front of me. She removed the sheets from me completely. I could see the monster reflected in her eyes. I know it's cruel of me to say this, since I'm the one who caused those burns. You're so beautiful. Damn girl, smooth. No, it doesn't bother me, you're fine, you're beautiful. Because he is. Huh? What did she just say? I really didn't understand. I looked up in disbelief and she responded so endearingly. Your scars are beautiful. Look, the colors are the same as the Lycoris Noirge's. My eyes widened, and she gently caressed my hideously burned skin. Just looking at it reminds me of the warm feeling I had when we spent time together out in that field. The warmth in your hand could also be the burn. I mean, seriously, like his skin is probably radiating heat. I don't think that that's how it works. But he's got magic scars. That's not normal. And everybody, that's not the way the scars even operate in this country. So, those are definitely magic flame or have something to do with who he is. So, I'm saying something terrible, but I just couldn't hold my feelings back anymore. What was going on here? You're trying to become a reliver so you can get rid of your scars, Eve. What was she? And as ruthless as I might be, these scars of yours are so lovely. What was this feeling? Disbelief. My heart ached. As I kept repeating the words she spoke over and over in my mind. Oh, look at his sad little face, he's crying. A tear rolled down from my hideous eye. Not fair. You're making it impossible for me to get rid of my burns after hearing you say that. I had heard so many people express pity, wishing my scars would disappear. I already made the decision to give up on being accepted for who I was, and to escape from everything by becoming a reliver. But truth be told, I wanted anyone to tell me they loved my scars. I didn't want to just sweep away what happened. After all, my scars were a part of me and part of the life I had lived. Yeah, I mean, he ain't wrong, and you don't have to, it's okay to not love your scars or flaws that you have, but, you kind of have to accept them. You gotta learn to accept them, There's something I need to say to you. I mean, when you have a scar like a huge one that could be, okay, you can get a graft or something to fix it, that, you don't have to be, no, I can't. You could absolutely, if that would make you feel more accepting of it. But the thing is even if you say had a huge burn on your arm or something, a graft, even a skin graft, is going to leave scars. You know what I mean? So even though you can kind of change the scars on your body, there's still always going to be some kind of scar there, And if it's something that you do to make it more acceptable, where it's like, okay, I can live with this, then yeah, cool. I don't think that even in this world, if they had skin grafting technology, I don't think it's going to help on your face. You know what I mean? But the reliver technology would be like, hey, get rid of it totally. Unfortunately, even if you were like, no, I love my scars and they're awesome and they're a part of me, when you become a reliver, they're going to be gone, so. Problems there, I guess. Well, there's something I need to say to you. I wasn't going to say it because it disappeared the moment I became a reliver. I couldn't hold back anymore. Her loving words made me realize that this feeling I kept away deep inside my heart. I don't want to express meaningless love to anyone anymore. Spacey, I love you. I really love you. You're the only one worthy of having this beautiful feeling inside my heart. I love you. A word I kept using without a single thought. I may have lost the gravity I intended, but it was the only word that could describe the feelings I had. I could only hope that she accepted it. Her next words seemed afraid to come out. I never once thought it was possible someone could actually love me. Everyone else looked away from me. Not sure what to say. No, I don't have the right to hear those words from you, but I can't bring myself to refuse. He smiled at her response. Then, how about you give me your answer in a different way? She blushed for a moment, then... Aww. Should we just kiss his scar? Brought her red lips to my scars and kissed them gently. I look forward to your official answer. And a kiss on the lips once we've proven your innocence to the world. I could kiss you on the lips right now, sweetie. Listen, we might not have a lot of time. We should take care of everything we can right now. Literally, now. In the field of Lycoris Noirges? You can read me like a book. I responded with a kiss to her forehead. Here's the thing, you better not cockblock me, game, because even Cyan kissed us before we died. Might have been emotionless, but it was still a kiss. I'm just saying. I couldn't believe that a hideous monster like me could ever find a wonderful girl. I just hoped I wouldn't be punished for sharing my love so freely before this moment. Oh, game. I hope I'm not going to be punished by being a love whore. ... The game's like, fucking hold my beer. Yes, the god was truly watching over me. I mean in the Salvation ending, maybe. And not on this one. I do like that this game does kind of force you to play the horrible endings first. Like, play all the worst ones. Because, like, you know, I'm not going to change our process when we play games. We play the best ending and then we do the bad endings. But, like, I kind of like that this change of pace to be like, we're going to play all the horrible endings where you're like, oh, and then you do the good ones where you're like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, it's better than the other one, I guess. You know what I mean? Because I don't think any of them are going to be truly happy, but, still. How the hell do we have a fan disc? If ever, I mean, people can't die, so that's good. But like, I just, I'm questioning this. The fan disc comes out later this year. Do we know when? I don't know when. We're gonna play it as soon as we get it. Same with Radiant Tail. Like, those are like no question. There's so many fucking games in the backlog, guys. I can't handle my life. Anyway, can't be. What is this? Why did we get a CG of dead Hugo? Why does Hugo always die? No, we just became friends again. Oh, I like what they did now with Hugo being mad at us, and then it was like, no, okay, I'm cool, and we walked away, and we're like, we're pals. Because if we hadn't ended up being pals, and I was like, Hugo, you broke my heart, and then we found this, I don't think it would have hit me as hard. What the fuck? Why? Hugo? Why? Why? I don't know who's. Are we Eve still? I think we are. You said you were gonna come back to Karoon. Say something! I wanted to awaken from this nightmare. I want to too. Oh, chapter 4. Okay. Holy fucking shit. Alright. My wish to return had long disappeared. For that reason, I needed to take action for my noble friend, whom I would never meet again. I promised I would nurture those detested lives for as long as I existed. We drank heartily together once we met again. Uh-huh. Those horrible lies, I feel like, is the flowers, and I feel like that's something that would be more, but that's not the way Eve thinks, so, curious about who is saying that. Unseen evil was moving somewhere beyond sight. Soon. Oh. I like how they're question mark, question mark, question mark. Right? And you're like, soon the effect, and then you're like, okay. Soon the effect of that medicine will get rid of the antibodies that exist in her body. You know it's Capucine. Antibodies, molecules produced by the immune system that defend against foreign antigens found in viruses and bacteria. Now then, Lucas, I want you to bring her to me as soon as I give you the order tonight. You know it's Capucine, come on. And then we go here, so yeah. It should be easy for you, given how you were able to escape the Royal Guard. I was wondering when we saw Hugo dead, I was like, okay. I was like, did Lucas kill him? You know what I mean? A laboratory acting as the real headquarters of the Society of Exorcists was kept secret, even from its most devout followers. Lucas showed an expression of confusion at Minister Capucine's instructions. Master, why do you want her? It is what God demands. Just like your dear Nadia, she's also loved by God. Therefore, it's our mission to take charge of her before she's seized by demons. That may be true, but if she's taken away from Eve now, and despite our short time together, he was also one of my students. I teach her as someone who protects their students. I like how right now Capucine's like, Lucas, I'm gonna need you to kidnap that bitch. And he's like, I'm gonna be like questioning this, and Lucas Capucine is going to inject you. But perhaps we can send someone from among us to support Eve, or we can also take him into our fold too. I admire you, Will, but the answer is no. He must stay where he is in order to absorb the evil and malice from the citizens in her place. But this all happened because of those suicides. What was the reason for destroying those bodies and removing their hearts? I thought they were to be used as specimens for our experiments, but this is far too many. Lucas, my faithful Lucas Proust, may I remind you that you've not seen Nadia in some time because the hospital was closed due to those deaths? Lucas frowned, hearing the minister talking to him in a preaching manner. Simply heed and serve God no differently from before, and I will ensure that you see her again soon. You're a good brother, so it'd be a shame to not see her one last time. You'd not want to die alone when your time comes, would you? The symptom of the curse returned. Capucine gave a gentle smile as he looked on. Lucas coughed again and again, then stared at his blood-covered palm. Turn of events. It doesn't matter what objective this mystery supporter is seeking, I will fulfill my own objectives. No matter the cost, I will take possession of those beautiful Lycoris genes and... Oh? Beautiful genes, you say? I'd love to observe such genes myself. I wonder who sang it. Who? I want to guess Cyan, but how the fuck would he have gotten in here? A powerful explosion. You know what? Then maybe it is. From the cloud of smoke created by the detonated bomb appeared... What the fuck is happening? I love that. I'm like, I want to guess Cyan, but how the fuck did he get in here? And then the blew down the wall, and I'm like, yeah, no, okay, yeah. All right.
Judging by your reactions, I see there's no need to introduce myself.
I love that he just busted down the motherfucking wall to get in here. What the shit? What is happening in this route? This is almost as absurd. Okay, it's as entertaining, not quite as absurd, as Gil's route in Cupid Parasite. Okay, if you know, you know. If you don't, you know, seriously. Gil's route was some of the most you're like, what the actual bonkers bullshit is happening? That's kind of how I feel now. It's not nearly on the same level. That was like outlandish insanity, and this is like fucking ludicrous, little fucking ridiculous. It's insane, but I love it. Holy shit, though, we're having a great time. This is just Cyan Brofis, savior of this country. What are you doing here? How did you find out?
You can answer those questions yourself, dear minister.
I thought he said dead minister at first, I was like, oh, that's a threat. And I was like, no, I read that wrong in my brain.
From among the bodies we collected, I noticed the most attractive or talented were missing. I conducted an investigation, assuming some fool took those bodies, but I never expected such a huge secret tunnel would be found deep under the Institute.
Ah, now we know where that tunnel goes. So the tunnel, because, like, the tunnel inside is like, there's a tunnel here, and where does it go? Nobody knows. And they never answered, and it's like, the tunnel goes here? Dude! Actually, I thought the tunnel led out to the sea, but I guess another branch of it might lead here.
Judging from the scale of things, I assume the royal family is somehow involved. I should pay them a visit after I'm done here.
Oh, that's intriguing. So the royal family's got, like, secret underground experiments so they can usurp the throne from Cyan, basically. I see. Guards! Impossible! I had the bodies cloned and replaced so that no one would find out they're missing.
Do you seriously expect me to make a mistake in handling the bodies? Well, to be honest, I am surprised. And not by the hidden tunnel or this facility, but rather because of him.
Cyan's colorful eyes observed the young man with a halberd in hand.
Of all people, Boro turned out to be such a well-mannered person. You certainly deceived me.
Cyan didn't budge from the extreme malice being directed at him. I mean, that's like an everyday occurrence for Cyan.
That superhuman power of yours, is it the result of genetic modification? Or perhaps you were born with a rare congenital disorder affecting your genes?
Genital disorder. Genes.
Ah,
What are you doing? Hurry and kill the intruders, Lucas! The only hospital that took in Nadia will be lost the moment they capture me. Cyan didn't seem disturbed at all by Lucas, who was pointing his weapon at him.
calm down there, Boro. It seems you put blind faith in a non-existent god and that supposed minister. But I believe you'll lose your will to face me once you find out his true identity.
Don't listen to him, Lucas! Kill that abominable leader of demons, or else—
I remember you very well. Despite your new appearance and voice, that creepy smile of yours hasn't changed.
Right, wasn't he Orty? Right.
I suppose this Nadia you speak of will be joining your test subjects. Or should I say, your collection. Isn't that right, former death row inmate Orty?
Dun dun dun! Test subject. Minister, what is he? What? What? Damn it, Lucas! Don't breathe! That was so not his voice, but whatever. Lucas! Capucine went pale as he saw Lucas drop his halberd and fall to the floor.
Easy as that. No matter how powerful one may be, they still lack resistance to poison and drugs. I'll personally check on his physical condition later. Take him!
Sir! He busted in here with guards, that's the best part. After seeing his guards carry Lucas away, Cyan turned his attention back to Capucine.
Now then, you lost your battle weapon. Why don't we have a nice chat to celebrate our reunion, Orty?
Shh! Only the fake minister was left. God slowly walked forward to punish him in human form.
By sheer coincidence, I've recently discovered an interest in the Lycoris Nuages you mentioned earlier. What exactly is the relationship between that girl and the Lycoris genome, including the medical records at your hospital? Tell me all you know. Though it may not seem so, I'm quite skilled in the art of torture.
I mean, look at his face. That man could torture me. In a fun... Wait, never... Shh, okay, keep going. Cyan gets better when he shows up not in his route. His own route, don't get me wrong, I love Cyan in his route, but I love when he shows up like this, you're like, what the kind of fucking superhero? Are you a super villain? What is... This isn't... I love him. Stop!
Stop! No!
Oh! Ah! That's supposed to be Capucine screaming, but I can't scream like him, so... Kind of lost his voice for a while, but... Ah! Shriek. Eek! Oh. The musty smell of blood. The body's main vessel, the heart, was crushed, but the expression frozen on his face didn't match the scope of the tragedy. Hugo? You said you were gonna come back to Garoon. Say something! Found Hugo dead in a dark alley. Hugo! Hugo! I can't... Hugo! I can't freaking scream that in Eve's voice, so... I ruined the touching moment. Eve ran toward Hugo and shouted as he shook his body, but... Instead of a reply, the dark red blood that pooled in his mouth dripped out slowly. He's also not in a partner pair, so... Interesting. Eve's pupils contracted as he looked at his friend, covered in blood. What happened? Why? I don't recall Hugo having a lover or anyone close to him. You would be that person that he wanted to be his lover, but both of you would have had to have died, so. This was the first time Eve showed despair. His partner, who had been with him for 3 years, was now dead. Unable to accept reality, Eve kept repeating the word why over and over again. Hugo just redeemed. You gotta be kidding! Hugo! He was with us just last night, too! The core unit that stood behind us gazed at the sight with disbelief. It was the same with me. I thought we were gonna argue again. Isn't that right? What? Why? He... 3 words kept repeating over and over in my head. What the hell are you people doing here? Royal Guard soldiers appeared suddenly and grabbed us from behind as we sat down on the ground in a stupor. Leave this place at once! This area is under our control now, and we'll be moving the bodies shortly. Eve wrenched himself from their grasp. Damn you! I know him! He's my partner and... Suddenly, a red flower bloomed from Eve's chest. What? Huh? The darkness of the alley. Eve? Did you see the dark smoke that kind of before that? I was like, the dark smoke is happening. Eve? Dull red blood slowly dripped from Eve's mouth. Eve! Blood spewed forth as he gasped for air. Can't be. The arrival of one's death. A cursed gift we would all receive by 23 years of age. But... why? I'm not... Wasn't yet his time. He tried his best to deny the situation. He soon fell to his knees as more blood came out of his mouth. Eve covered his mouth to try and stop the bleeding, but it didn't help much. It's only chapter 4. Doesn't he have 5 chapters? What the... What? The blood spilled through his fingers and flowed into a puddle. Wow, that wasn't me. That's the way it's typed. Into a puddle that soon reached Hugo's blood. Oh. I knew where this was going. No! Eve! I pushed aside the stunned Royal Guard soldiers and rushed to Eve's side. Eve, just hold on! Eve shook his head at me as blood continued to flow. He spoke to me through his eyes. Don't come near me. That was his message. Eve's warning must have meant... Ah! Everyone run! Death's gonna curse us if we stay here any longer! The crowd around us, including the Royal Guard, looked at me with fear. In an instant, they all made a mad dash to escape. Wait! Someone! Does anyone have medicine to stop the bleeding? Ah! Don't come near me, you monster! A rock hit me on the side of the head, letting out a stream of blood from my skin. He was trying to get up to protect me, but he couldn't move since he was already having a hard time breathing. Please, is there a doctor here? Isn't it obvious that Eve's just a victim? Oh, with him, he can die for all I care. You can die for all I care, sir! I hope you suffer! But these people suck. I don't feel bad. We all know he's just a puppet of yours, Death! We heard it from the men who went to get rid of you! No doctor in the country will see either of you again! That's not true. Capucine would have. You know, to get a piece of me. Can't be. Oh, someone really hates us. I did my best to call for help, but not a single person would even call for a doctor. The only ones left were Eve, who was completely pale and out cold, and me holding him to my chest helplessly. Looked like he was dead, but I could tell that he was barely hanging on. Still, I knew it was just a matter of time. What should I do? I looked around the area with teary eyes, hoping to see anyone at all. My eyes fell upon Hugo's silent body. But my values are totally normal. You two are the strange one, loving those cursed flowers and not being afraid of his scars. So, maybe you two make the perfect weird match. He was right. There was no time for me to wallow in despair. Hugo believed in me and entrusted Eve to me while he was gone. I forced the heavy-breathing Eve onto my back and slowly got up from the ground. It was impossible for someone as weak as I was to carry a grown man on her back. But I didn't have a choice. Eve, please bear with me. I didn't care if his blood got on me. I carried Eve along as I tried to maintain my balance. I slowly headed back to Eve's and Hugo's sanctuary. After what happened earlier, it was doubtful that anyone would come to attack Eve, especially with me around. I somehow tucked Eve into bed after changing the clothes that needed to be changed. I sat in the seat next to his bed with a medical kit nearby, but the situation couldn't be any worse. Hugo, from what we knew, didn't have any sort of romantic relationship with a woman. Right, with a woman? Meaning his death wasn't because of romantic feelings. I think it was. What could have caused his death? Romantic feelings. Was it me? I didn't know the reason why, but perhaps Unko's power had worn off. Well, actually, yeah, his power might have worn off just because of Capucine's special concoction. My powers' his death, which had killed so many, had begun to consume Eve. I somehow got Eve to take some medicine to hopefully improve his breathing and treat his symptoms. Bleeding stopped and his breathing became lighter. About 10 minutes or so passed. His strength somehow got him through it.
So, Hugo really died, did he?
Eve slowly regained consciousness and opened his eyes. Yeah, because he was in love with you. He grabbed his heart before he left. You see, it wasn't like, oh, my heart hurts. I'm literally, my chest is going to explode. Oh. Although that is a real flaw in the relivers that, like, if they fall in love, they die. Like, Jesus. Yeah, Cyan, I'm going to need you to fix this process.
It really isn't a dream. He really did die. And in the worst way possible.
It's true. Seeing Eve squirm to get up, I gently helped to lift him. His body was still limp in my arms. As I kept him propped up, he gently whispered,
Where's Hugo now?
I went back to the scene, but his body was already gone. I believe he was brought back to his family.
I see. So he really did die. And he can't revive as a reliver either.
Regret spilled out of Eve's heart. Yeah, I mean, that's true. All these times I've been like, no, why would you kill Hugo? That's true, he's a reliver, he could have come back. But he doesn't have a backup, so.
This feels so weird. We've been together so long and we hardly ever got into a fight. And now he's gone before we even had a chance to make up for that argument. My one and only partner in the world. I let him die all alone.
Tears formed in his eyes. Large drops came rolling down his cheeks. Hugo. Oh, that's not me saying. Okay.
Hugo. He taught me so much. He taught someone who wasn't loved or nurtured how to live in this world. He was my family. The brother I never had.
I think he was really necessarily a brother. I think he was in love with you, but like, okay, whatever. You might have been thinking he was like your brother, but he said you were like his brother, but I'm thinking Hugo has that weird little kink that we have. Yeah, so we can finally start a business as Karun. Well, here's hoping we'll do well. I'll make sure you get all the support you need, partner. Hey, what's with that look? Don't tell me you feel strange being called partner. Well, you better get used to it. That's what I'm gonna call you from here on out, partner. Partner. Hoping romantic someday. Like I said, you can't earn trust by doing free work. That ain't kindness or love. Asking for money is payment for your services. If they don't have any money, ask for something else. Listen carefully. People of this country will use and abuse you if you sell yourself short. Can't believe I'm actually telling you something so simple. Didn't your parents or the orphanage teach you anything? I have a feeling I'm gonna have to act the part of the older brother until you learn. Oh. Sad Eve CG. No.
I can't
not learn anything from him anymore. There's no one in this world who'll ever call me partner again. No one. Hugo. My brother, Hugo. Memories of his time with Hugo overflowed with an anguished wail. That's so sad. Stop it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, when Hugo died in Lucas's route, and Anko was there and was like, because everyone was dead, and he was like really fucking like the look on his face, and I was like, see, that's the look of someone who knows who the fuck Eve is, right? You know, it was a little bit closer than, hey, these are just people that I've watched over. Like, they were close. And that's where the whole, you know what I mean? And then he wasn't dead, and he's like, okay, cool, now we can talk. But you've never seen Anko and Adolphe in the same... They were technically in the same place, but Adolphe was passed out in a fucking... Like, passed out, like, under other corpses. You know what I mean? Like, they had no interaction. So... But, like, he looked really distraught. Not by like, ooh, yeah, all these dead people, it's distraught. It was like the, I know this person, they're my friend, distraught. Kind of like this. I'm just saying. I feel the same way. What a fight. Wish he taught me too. I wanted to tell him off for scaring me. He showed me his true colors, and I wanted to tell him how I really felt. An image of him smiling flashed through my mind, which was more than I could handle. Unable to bear the pain running through my heart, I embraced Eve as tightly as I could. Sorry. 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 I probably killed him. Seeing me apologize repeatedly, Eve mustered as much calm as he could to respond. Spacey, that's not your fault. His plea fell into deaf ears. No. Saying no wasn't enough. You're wrong. I didn't want him to deny what I was saying. I wanted him to see me as a criminal and hate me for who I was. If not, I killed your family. I'm sorry. He'd break me with his kindness. His cries of despair subsided. After he calmed down, the curse upon him made him collapse like a broken puppet. With that, Eve fell into a deep slumber from which not even the rising sun could rouse him. He needs to sleep. He's been stressed. A few days had passed. I used the transmitter every day with no luck. Adolphe's transmitter must have been confiscated by the Royal Guard. I've been asking for help from the people of Cohen too, but the answer was always the same. Then the members of the court distanced themselves and were unwilling to speak to me. I could somehow take care of the basic necessities myself, but our stock of food was running low. In other words, our days were numbered. Eve's breathing was still shallow. I could tell Eve was losing his condition because he wasn't fully conscious. Was losing to his condition, okay. He was only getting worse. He had regular coughing fits, but it seemed to clear the blood from his throat before he could suffocate. Eve! He quickly wiped the blood from his mouth and lifted his head up so that he could breathe. Sorry, Spacey. I know you're going through a lot too. Sorry for causing you so much trouble. Don't worry about me. All I ask is that you focus on resting so that you can get well. Yeah, but I don't think now's the time. Because of what happened to Hugo, we now know that romantic relationships aren't the trigger. Oh, well, we don't. No, we don't. Well, okay, it could be any intense emotion. If you think about it, because we're saying romantic. Listen, they're going to be like, oh, it's any kind of feelings of love at all. Which, and Hugo absolutely loved Eve, he loved me intensely like a brother. It was familial love and whatever, and that killed him. Yeah, no, I think he was romantically in love with you, but still, whatever game, That's something else. I need to find the real cause. Eve narrowed his eyes with pain after speaking the name of his recently lost partner. But no matter how much he thought of Hugo, and no matter how sad he was, he simply didn't have it in him to let a single tear fall now. He could hardly even stand. The worst part about this is, when we go down the Salvation ending? Hugo's still gonna be dead! What the fuck? Hugo always draws the short sword, doesn't he?
Or maybe there was someone Hugo loved but never told me about.
Yeah, you.
If that's true, then that means he kept secrets from his partner. Well, that's no good, right?
Knowing that he couldn't move, Eve spoke with sad eyes. She's over there like, yeah, maybe he was in love with someone, but maybe, he hadn't told that person either. That's why he didn't tell you. I'm thinking, he's like, do you think he was in love with you? And you're like, no, stupid, he was in love with you. You don't have to force yourself to smile. We were persecuted by the residents. We were separated from our allies, and our investigation was all in vain. And now, Hugo's death. It was no surprise that Eve's heart was at its limit. I also understood that, as the cause behind all that had happened, I needed to leave his side at once. I couldn't abandon him now when there was no one else around to protect him. We're getting a call. I suddenly heard an electronic sound. Apparently Eve heard it too, as he opened his eyes slightly in surprise. I grabbed the transmitter with a sliver of hope. A light green flickered, and it looked like there was a message from the hospital where Nadia was staying. It's Dr. Capucine. He may have avoided the royal family's grasp and escaped from house arrest. He also might be able to help Eve since he was a doctor. Dr. Capucine? Please, you have to help Eve! His breathing, it's getting weaker and he's coughing up a lot of blood. His fever won't go down either. Eve's still 18 years old, so it must be my fault. He's being cursed by my powers as death. I like how she just does that, and you know it's going to be Cyan on the other side. He's showing symptoms like when someone picks the Lycoris Noir's flowers. At this rate, Eve's going to follow Hugo and die. I was so panicked that I kept talking without hearing his reply, but in response to my plea,
I see. That bitch really did it.
Well, who's saying that bitch really did it? Because, I don't think it's Capucine. Aside from the unusual suicides, I never heard the Maiden of Death would cause similar symptoms. Who's saying... Well, I'm wondering who's saying this, then. Because it's not Capucine, it's not Lucas, and I don't... That bitch really did it. That doesn't sound like something Cyan would say. So anyway, I see that bitch really did it. So someone's saying, aside from the unusual suicides, I never heard the Maiden of Death would cause such similar symptoms as the curse on this land. Which would explain why such a shady rumor was spread to pin the blame on her while keeping her identity hidden. The lore behind the Lycoris Noirs is finally beginning to make sense. Huh? Isn't this... is it... It was Cyan? This is interesting. So we're tagging this, and then I can't really believe Cyan's calling us a bitch.
I see. That bitch really did it.
Really interesting, Cyan. Excuse me. You only get to say that when you pin me against a wall. I mean, you did pin me against a wall, but whatever.
Aside from the unusual suicides, I never heard the Maiden of Death would cause similar symptoms as the curse on this land. Which would explain why such a shady rumor was spread to pin the blame on her, while keeping her identity hidden.
That's interesting. Well, this doesn't make sense, though. I never heard that the Maiden of Death would cause similar symptoms as the curse on the land. Okay. Explain why a shady rumor was spread to pin the blame on her while keeping her identity hidden. Pin the blame on me while keeping my identity hidden, or is her another person? And because the only person he would call a bitch would be Salome, but can't see her being, you know what I mean? It feels like he's talking about two different people. Anyway.
The lore behind the Lycoris Noirs is finally beginning to make sense.
Anyway. Cyan, why are you calling from Dr. Capucine's transmitter? It made more, it wasn't Capucine, but...
I'm just borrowing it. Let's just say I came to see a familiar face at the hospital. That said, I doubt you have the time to ramble on like that. If I heard correctly, you mentioned Karoon's near death.
Yes, that's right. There's no doctor around to see him, and I don't think he has much time left. Cyan's just gonna pop on over. Cyan told me to explain, so I went into detail about what happened and the symptoms that Eve was exhibiting.
He's still 18 years old. Hard to believe a healthy body like his would be affected by death's curse so soon. That is strange. I've seen rare cases where people of that age show symptoms of the curse, but unless they had prior health issues, they don't get very sick. Most gradually decline over a full year or two. What's even more interesting is that those near him are victims of the strange deaths that have been occurring. Based on what you told me, it's quite possible you're somehow involved in the source of the issues at hand.
Yes, I believe so too. I heard Cyan hump on the other end of the transmitter. It's Capucine's whatever he gave me.
Very well. The fact that I couldn't stop the royal family makes me in fault as well. Maiden of Death, come to the Institute. If you cooperate in my investigation, I will send a doctor to Karoon. Depending on the results, I may even be able to save Karoon's life.
Really? I immediately made my decision. I'll go right this instant. I'll do everything you ask, so please save Eve.
Very well. I'll help, so get ready immediately. I'll send a car to pick you up right away.
Can we take Eve with us? He then added one more condition. Eve's blood? Cyan told me to bring some of Eve's blood with me before cutting off communication, because he's going to be like, oh, yeah, no, Capucine poisoned him. Yeah, what for? If it was to diagnose Eve, I had to bring it. I picked up the towel I used to wipe Eve's blood and put it inside a bag. Just as I was told, an electric car arrived within the hour. It's okay, Bird, it was just a car on the TV. I could hear the Institute's guards calling my name from outside. Before I set out, Eve... I took Eve's hand as he faded in and out of consciousness. Really sorry, Eve. I know what I'm about to do isn't enough to pay for the sins I've committed, but I didn't want to kill people anymore. Once you recover, you can hate the foolish death as much as you want for killing your friend. And if you wish, I will give up my life for you without question. I bent down and took off his mask. I kissed his scar to bid him farewell. I felt the heat from his body for a moment. The red light along his scar was pulsating like it was his own heart. Knowing that this might be the last I would see of him, I removed my lips reluctantly. Goodbye. Happy that I could hear you say that I was a normal girl. I was going to say I was happy to hear you say that you loved me, but whatever, sure. I departed from him to finally put an end to my curse. Oh, don't go, Spacey. If you leave, who'll be with me? Please don't leave me. Oh.
Finally! It seems this country has only gotten worse since I last stepped outside.
Cyan,
don't worry about Karoon. I already have doctors from the hospital in Cernaval headed to his place.
I hadn't been to the Institute in a while, but the place felt different from before. And then he'll call them and be like, give him this medicine. We should have brought him with us. He should have been like, bring him here. Excuse me, is it just me or is this place a lot quieter since the last time I came here? I don't see Dahud around either. It was the first time I had entered the lab where they created relivers. I asked him as I rolled up my sleeves.
We've had our fair share of those odd deaths. We can't afford to lose any manpower to build relivers. Apart from the guards, I gave my staff a break until things settled down.
So the deaths have been occurring here.
Stop feeling bad about yourself, fool. And now relax so I can draw some blood from you.
Before I could reply, he inserted a rather thick needle into my arm. Give me a second. It stung a little, but nothing too painful. It didn't take long to see the vial fill up with my bright red blood. Will you be able to find out through my blood why I cause all this misfortune?
You never know until you try.
The vial was filled to its limit. Cyan grabbed a new syringe and inserted the needle into my arm again. He continued to draw blood for me, and with the second syringe filled, he grabbed a third. This third one hurt a bit, but it was nothing I couldn't bear. Having drawn all the blood he needed, Cyan opened a panel to a large device where stone slates were lined in the center. He then placed the vials of blood into the dark opening of the device before closing the panel.
I should be able to gather information about your genes through the blood I got from you by using this device.
I see. Maybe my genes were different from normal people since I had Death's soul inside me. In any case, I can only hope that the results might save Eve's life. Cyan put Eve's blood into the device in a similar manner. He then turned his back to the stone slates. May I ask why you decided to examine me here at the Institute, Cyan? Most people would consult the churches and the lore behind death.
Don't be ridiculous. There's no such thing as death's curse. Human wisdom is what rules this world, not some random god. And there's always a reason behind everything. I established the Institute in order to discover the truth of this curse and do away with it once and for all. Listen carefully, Maiden of Death. I believe the key lies within you and Karun.
Huh?
Let me ask you this. Your parents committed suicide in the field of Lycaris Noirges. Confirm for me whether their names were Chloe and Daryl.
Huh? I gave a start at the unexpected question. Yes. I don't remember them myself, but according to the medical records at the hospital, I believe those were their names. How did you find that out, Cyan?
I got the details from Dahood, as well as additional information from a member of staff currently on leave. I'll be very frank with you. When I first developed the technology to create relivers, those two volunteered to be my test subjects with the hope they might overcome a serious health condition. In other words, they're the second relivers next to me. It seems they married before you were born.
As subjects? Parents? So that means you knew both of my parents, Cyan? I mean, they were the second relivers. Your parents are old, and, you basically just married your grandpa. Well, I mean, we knew Cyan was old enough to be our great-grandpa here.
Nothing intimate, of course. They remained in my memory because they possessed some unique physical attributes.
According to Cyan, my parents were both horribly thin and frail from some kind of disease with faded hair and eye colors. Are our parents siblings? As similar as my mother and I looked, he hadn't made the connection before. Unique physical attributes?
They carried multiple types of genetic diseases, or rather, disorders to be exact, which explained why they were so weak.
Kind of like Nadia. Hearing him explain that they were likely born with their genetic disorders made me arrive at a certain possibility. Wait a minute. Does that mean my parents committed suicide because of some kind of disease?
No, that's irrelevant. The reason those two died was because of a certain symptom specific to relivers. They were the first to exhibit the symptom, but they acquired emotions of love that caused their memories to crash.
And Hugo crashed. Huh? What did Cyan just say?
I believe I mentioned it before, but I'm investigating the death simply because I'm bored. I've always known about this reason. What I want to know now is why this symptom is occurring so frequently.
What? Wait, so our assumption was right? The strange deaths are caused by love in their hearts, causing an error in their memory.
Oh, so you came to the answer yourself. I underestimated your novice abilities. Still, you're missing something. It's when a strong sense of love is experienced 5 times that the person's death is triggered.
I instinctively bit my lip, hearing him speak nonchalantly, as if it were common knowledge. Before I knew it, I grabbed Cyan's arm. Why did Hugo and my parents have to die in such a gruesome, horrible way? Please tell me the truth.
The truth? Let me explain to you the features of a reliver instead.
I kind of already know, because he's explained it last time, so. Woo! Get to be Cyan now.
Strong emotions couldn't be transferred to the next body due to limited memory capacity, which required the deletion of such emotions. And this was something I knew early on during the prototype stage of developing reliver technology. But to me, the emotions were simply bugs that hindered one's reasoning ability. I made the call that those emotions were unnecessary and left the bug as a feature, which led to more efficient relivers.
It's not a bug, it's a feature. Cyan is literally every single software engineer right now. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Of course, among those emotions was the most irritable and bothersome emotion called love.
I love the fact that when he wanted to fall in love with us, he was like, alright, I'm gonna fucking fix this shit. He fixed the damn problem. We know he's capable of it.
With the establishment of my reliver technology, no issues occurred for many years, but 19 years ago, I discovered that unexpected feature in your parents, whom I met again at that field of Lycoris Noiges. You were in your mother's womb then.
That's really, this is now weird. Cyan, you're making it weird now. You were a fetus at the time. Now our relationship is weirding me out. It wasn't the fact that you're an 80-year-old man in a 20-year-old body, because, like, whatevs, I can handle that. But now it's a little weird. Weird now. I'm gonna get past it, but my memory, my heart hurts beyond belief each time I look at him and feel a warmth inside. We thought it was because our bodies are weak, but it doesn't seem that way. Monsieur Profis, could this have something to do with our memory bank storing a strong emotion of love? Perhaps the emotion's so strong that it could overheat us like some machine. We're both weak in terms of our health, so we're already prepared to die at any time, but would you please investigate this for the sake of our child, who will become a reliver in the future?
They called me out to that field of Lycoris Noiges to plead to me. That's impossible. There's no emotion strong enough to break the memory bank I developed.
Well, I like how Cyan's so fucking wrong.
After I said so, they both showed intense hatred toward me just before I walked away.
You ruthless, selfish, arrogant god! Not understanding human emotion makes you the saddest, most pathetic existence of all. Hey, until your daughter's born, sir, and then I decide I want to bang her, so I give myself a heart. You know, that'd be a weird fucking thing to say, but that's kind of what happens. That's a little creepy. I'm sure you'll never understand this comforting, heart-wrenching pain. You know, after playing his tragic end, that hurts though, Mom. Jesus. You'll never understand. Actually, he did quite well.
They cast a vain curse upon me.
Hold on, my headset's falling off.
The next day, I received report that the two were found dead in the field of Lycoris Noiges, having stabbed each other's hearts.
Kind of funny that they decided to kill each other in like in a suicide pact while their baby was still there, you know.
A phenomenon that crashes the memory after experiencing emotions of love. It was then I began to associate that potential outcome with the relivers I built. I'd predicted it as a possibility, but I didn't expect anyone would meet the conditions to trigger such a bug. In truth, there was an alert function that activated when a reliver's memory overloaded from emotional surges and distress. And this alert function was a safety feature that I included to monitor emotions that went beyond the memory storage capacity. It acted as a recovery feature that forcibly eliminated the overloading emotion when bodily functions were threatened. In other words, it was a function that was developed as a safeguard to protect a reliver's life. But love was the most complex and volatile of human emotions, and the most powerful. So strong was it that the alert function was unable to process correctly, leading to errors. What that meant was each time an alert occurred from powerful emotions of love, pain surged through the reliver's heart, and after 5 similar incidents, the recovery process malfunctions, generating pain beyond belief. The relivers who experience this pain lose their sanity and try to forcibly remove their hearts in a mad frenzy. I labeled this particular phenomenon a memory crash for record purposes.
Memory crash. An error in the recovery process of a reliver's memory. All are equipped with a recovery function to prevent memory overloads from strong emotions. As love is the most complex and intense, it's the most likely to cause failure. When the recovery process initiates, painful alerts are felt in the heart, which acts as a memory bank. After 5 alerts, recovery fails and the pain becomes so unbearable that those affected will try to remove their own hearts. Like, you knew this was a thing, but you didn't warn people, and, like, you didn't think, like, relivers do have emotions. We've seen it, so, like, what the fuck? This gets a little more, like, dicey as you go, you know? Now we're back to me, and we're gonna learn more about this. I mean, obviously they weren't gonna reveal this because it wasn't, even though it's pertinent to Cyan's route, because it's Cyan's job here, they couldn't kind of have this come up without me and my parents and that, and it's a little more plot. That's why it's in Eve's route, it's later. But it's interesting because Cyan knows that this is a problem, but, like, does nothing about it. So technically, I guess, in his route, when the royal family's like, oh, it's his faulty relivers, they ain't wrong in a way. Interesting. But I thought in his route, though, the whole thing, well, like, see, that's why I keep thinking it was more of a lung thing or whatever. And we know somebody else was doing shady stuff, actually, because they snuck up that shadowy figure that went to the royal guy and was like, hey, what's up, you want to try this? Hey, you want to buy a watch? You know, type of shit. So there is some back alley reliver shit going on, but it is interesting that Cyan kind of knows that this is a problem, and yet instead of like, well, it's just something I can't fix, he's like, yeah, no, I know. It's a feature, not a bug, whatevs. It's like, sir! But I guess it hasn't, like he said, it hasn't really, all of a sudden it's just rampant, and what the fuck? That's a weird thing, you know, where you're like, yeah, it happens once in a while, but, like, hey, 2 people every, like, 20 fucking years is like, whatevs. You know, it's an okay margin of error, but now all these people are dropping like flies, so what the fuck is up? Interesting. Anyway, we'll find out more later, so I will see you next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.